We are SGOC Media, and this is the Quit Jerking Off Initiative.
What's that example of help?
I do prison work. Prison's kind of my favorite place on the planet.
So, we definitely need to hear more about this.
And prisoners are kind of my favorite people on the planet too. So I started working in the prisons 4 years ago, I think. California prisons, and it has been, it's kind of like everything I thought I knew is just different now, because there's, it's such a perspective to meet people, like we all know trauma exists, but to hear about levels of trauma that I would probably fortunately never exposed to, and to hear real life stories, and it's like, what are we doing? Like, it's game changing.
What are you doing in the prisons, and who are you, what organization are you with that allows you to get in there and do what you're doing?
So the organization, it's a nonprofit. It's called the Freedom to Choose Project. Kind of in my whole life transition, I said I was aerospace engineer, all that whole thing. So I had a master's degree in aerospace engineering, and fast forward a few years later, I had taken a job transfer from Georgia to California. And somehow in there, I found out about this master's program in spiritual psychology. And all I could think about was, how funny would that be to tell people I have a master's degree in aerospace engineering and a master's in spiritual psychology. That was the only reason I signed up for this class. I was like, that'll be hilarious. Because people are gonna be like, what? And so I actually ended up really enjoying the program, but they were the ones who kept referencing this prison project because it stemmed out of that school. So what I did for a master's program, it was an experiential program. It's very little lecturing. You're doing the work all the time. And so they actually took all of those concepts and put it into the prison. And the work is based off the work of Viktor Frankl. He was one of the Nazi concentration camp survivors, one of the few, and he wrote Man's Search for Meaning.
Yep.
And he, in the camp, kind of, came up with a theory, or it dawned on him or something. He's like, we only have control over one thing. There's one thing nobody else can take from us.
Mindset?
It's our attitude in any given situation. Mindset. It's like, how can I, despite what's around me, change my attitude about this? And he survived it. And so we kind of do the same thing in the prison. It's like, yes, you have these bars around you. Yes, you have barbed wire. Yes, you're kind of stuck in here, but how can you free yourself internally? And so, I was telling Aaron, we have handouts and different skills we go through and whatever, but at the end of the day, I think one of the most important things we do is we go in there and we genuinely love them. I think one of the biggest messages that we try and get across is when people go to prison, they are told, especially if they're lifers, they're told you're going to die in prison. But the more generalized message is you are shit. You did this shitty thing, you are shit. And that is, I think, a mindset that so many people outside of prison don't realize how serious they take that. And they suddenly believe they're worthless. And they did what they did, and it has the impacts it's going to have. But we try and explain, yes, you did the shitty thing. It does not mean you're a shitty person. You are still a valuable, worthy person. But, some of them have never had a family member in their lives tell them they love them. They just have never been in a situation where they're either not being judged or whatever. And we just sit across from them and we're like, anything you want, we can talk about anything. And so to be heard, to not feel like a prisoner for 5 seconds, it's just, it's game changing.